What's up, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Wizards Latest. I'm your host and DC sports fan, Ben Robertson, and on this page, we break down all the biggest headlines surrounding the Washington Wizards. So, as always, make sure you've hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. Drop your comments with any thoughts you might have on this video or anything you want to hear me talk about in the future. Appreciate all the support. Keep tuning in every single weekday. Today, I want to talk about Alex Sarr and his performance in both Summer League and Eurobasket here this summer, now that he has been ruled out for the remainder of that tournament. I'll throw out a trade idea I've seen online. Kind of want to gauge your guys' thoughts on this. Then we'll chat about Trey Johnson. Should he be in the starting lineup this coming year? And lastly, who is going to lead the Wizards in scoring in this upcoming NBA season? Again, guys, appreciate all of the support here on the page. And jumping into the Alex Sarr conversation, pretty encouraged here from what he has done so far this summer. Again, now reportedly ruled out for the remainder of the Eurobasket 2025 tournament after playing 2 games with that French national team. Was, of course, involved in their prep work leading up to it as well, which we have chatted about a whole bunch here on the page. Suffered a calf injury against Slovenia, did stay in that game, but then was ruled out against Israel, and now has been, again, ruled out for the rest of the Eurobasket 2025 campaign. Of course, France playing on today, at least today while I'm recording this video. Following the release of this video, we'll have one more game on the group stage schedule before the knockout rounds of the Eurobasket tournament. But I thought in the Israel matchup, you sort of saw a little bit of maybe them missing Sarr just a bit. Of course, went into this tournament missing Rudy Gobert and Wimby, kind of their top 2 bigs in the international French talent pool. Felt that limited depth, again, like we said, or like I said, against Israel. And I thought, even though he only played in 2 games, maybe the numbers weren't eye-popping. He definitely made an impact for that French team. 7 points, 4 boards against Belgium, 12 points, 5 rebounds, and a couple of big blocks against Slovenia. Remember that Slovenia team led by Luka Doncic really pushed France in game 2. And again, while I know the numbers don't sound too crazy, I do think Sarr has been solid here this summer. I think he looks stronger. I think maybe not just settling for outside shots and shot chucking quite as much. Working hard on the glass. I thought that was something you could tell this French coaching staff asked him to do. Get in the lane, do some of that dirty work. We really need that from you. And I hope he carries that mindset into the NBA season, to be quite honest. Expected to be back by the start of the NBA campaign by opening night. But I am glad that this French national team being careful with him. Obviously, here in the NBA offseason, no need to push through anything through that calf injury that he has reported to have had and had suffered here now in Eurobasket play. But I want to move on to a trade idea I've seen thrown out by Tyrone Montgomery of SI.com. He says that Washington should give Miami a call about Kel'el Ware and see what maybe the asking price would be there. Ware, little backstory, going into year 2, averaged 9 points, 7.5 points per game, and just over a block, and just about 22 minutes per night for Miami last year. Played in 64 games with 36 starts, shot well over 50% from the field. Former 5-star recruit, played a year at Oregon, which was a little bit disappointing, then rebuilt his draft stock at Indiana. And sort of this article just lays out sort of this vision of 2 just really mobile bigs with a ton of reach that could be kind of just a scary defensive combination in Alex Sarr and Ware. A lot of people I've seen here in the comment section not really viewing Sarr as a true 5 anyway, and that the future here in DC is a 2 big starting lineup regardless. So from that perspective, I actually kind of like this fit. Again, with those 2 really mobile 7-footers, that could be a really scary defensive pairing. I will say, I'm not quite sure Washington is maybe going to have enough to offer up to Miami here, or maybe if there's really just anything that's going to draw the Heat's interest in terms of that type of trade without giving up one of those maybe, I don't know, Alex Sarr, Trey Johnson type of pieces, which I don't know. I'm just not sure if I can envision an actual deal that works out with Ware, but I do like the pairing, and I could see that I would love that pairing, to be quite honest, moving forward. I've thrown out the idea on the page that maybe next offseason, maybe Isaiah Hartenstein, if he becomes available, is a guy that the Wizards should take a look at as another big that really complements Alex Sarr and can be paired alongside of him. I will say Miami Heat websites, if you look at those, they already are sort of envisioning Ware as a future trade asset. So just something to keep in mind there. Next thing I want to chat about here today, Trey Johnson. I was talking starting lineup a little bit in yesterday's video, and I really think it looks like signs are pointing to Trey Johnson coming off the bench at least to begin this next NBA season. While I may not love this, I'm not sure I see a way around it. I think it looks like Bub Carrington is going to be the starting point guard. Looks like the front office has just a lot of belief in him and wants to see that out. Then, as I mentioned yesterday, CJ McCollum, he's going to be in the starting lineup. I think just for the very simple reason is that the team wants to increase his value as much as they possibly can over the first half of the year before the deadline. Harder to do that when you're on the bench, which means, again, I think Trey probably gets slid down to maybe that six-man role, maybe the first guy off the bench for this team. I also wonder if guys like AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, you wonder where their role is to start off the year. You wonder if a guy, again, like AJ, like Branham, are, I realize this, I don't think this is going to be that dynamic at all in the locker room, but maybe they're just counting down the days until CJ McCollum gets traded because their roles are going to open up considerably when that happens. I just want to see Trey on the court as much as possible. Again, I've said before, I think he has star potential in this league, but I'm not sure. And I think that's the best way for him to develop, actually getting minutes. I realize he can still get ample minutes coming off the bench. And I do think that's probably where things are going to start off the year. At the very least there, you're going to get awesome mentorship from CJ McCollum, one of the proven elite scoring guards for about a decade in the league. I think he's going to give just so much valuable knowledge to a Trey Johnson. Last thing, kind of on that similar point, is that when you look at this lineup and you look at the roster, it's strangely deep. Not in a way that's necessarily going to win a ton of games or really push the win column forward, but there's a bunch of guys that can score and put the ball in the basket. Again, Trey Johnson, CJ McCollum, there's two right there. Chris Middleton is one. Keyshawn George, Cam Whitmore. All these guys, I think, have proven they can get buckets at the NBA level. Got guys like Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly that are also going to be in the mix and going to be in the rotation, who I would say maybe their scoring ability right now isn't even their best trait, but they're going to take up some share of the offense. I'm just not sure what the numbers are going to look like for some of these guys, to be quite honest. I think there's going to be nights where, you see a Keyshawn George have 20 or 25 points, but then, the next night, maybe, he's a little bit limited and it's Cam Whitmore going off. I think you're just going to see things like that. And I wonder if maybe by the end of the year, the averages are a little bit lower than we might like, or maybe we're looking at things going, wow, look at what Keyshawn did this year. Look at some of the performances he had. But maybe around the league, it's not getting quite the attention because the averages just aren't there. I wonder if that's how things go. Let me know in the comments who you think will lead the Wizards in scoring this upcoming NBA season. As always, just drop those comments with any thoughts you might have on the video, anything you want to hear me talk about in the future. Make sure you've hit those like and subscribe buttons, and thanks for watching another episode of Wizards Latest.